Okay, second from the last stage for the day. Feel this is almost the last shooter in this one. One more stage of this one.
Hey guys, Phil Flair here. Welcome back to another episode of What Would Phil Do? This is going to be episode 2. First and foremost, before I get into it, I'd like to thank everyone for their positive feedback after episode 1. After looking back at the video a couple times and taking a couple recommendations from a few friends that watched it, I'm going to refine and add a couple things that I think are important, such as priorities of work, as far as establishing magnification, going a little bit more in detail about magnification range, target acquisition, and bipod height, stuff like that, and then some training takeaways at the beginning of the video. So what exactly, what's in it for you, right? I think that's important so that I'm not just sitting here running my suck. But hopefully you guys enjoy this next episode, and keep in mind, a lot of these episodes are going to be stages that I've shot already that I have on camera. Until the season starts, I won't be able to start producing kind of live game planning and stuff like that, which I plan on doing in the future once 2019 season starts. But okay, so let's get into episode number 2. So episode 2, I'm gonna dub 10 positions. Although the stage name was One and Move, I think 10 positions suits it best because, as you're about to find out, we literally had to build 10 positions within our prescribed part time for the course of fire. Some training takeaways for this episode and this course of fire specifically is the mental game. So before I get into my actual game planning, I'm going to preface you guys with the build up to the actual stage execution itself. And we're going to go over body mechanics, understanding as a shooter how your body moves and whatnot. We're also going to talk about focusing on the task at hand and being able to adjust on the fly. So I think those 4 are good training takeaways that I found after watching this video. The match that this was hosted at was the Precision Rifle Series finale of 2018. Match director was Ryan Castle, and it was hosted at the CCC range in Cresson, Texas. All right, the rifle used for this match was actually the current match setup that I'm using right now. It's sitting right behind me. I just named her the other day after watching Black Hawk Down. But say hello to IRENE. A full description of the rifle can be found in one of my other episodes. I talk about my 2018 Precision Rifle Series finale rifle and equipment loadout for the actual match itself. But pretty much my Gunworks built 6mm Creedmoor and a Kinetic Research Group Whiskey 3 chassis topped with Collis K25i optic. If you guys want to find a little bit more details about the rifle and equipment that I use, go ahead and watch my other video that I posted about my rifle and equipment used at the 2018 Precision Rifle Series finale. I will provide the link below. Stage brief. This was stage number 18. This was shot on day 2 for most of the squads. Actually, 9 out of 10 squads shot this on day 2. One of the squads actually shot this as their final stage on day 1 because Ryan Castle wanted us to shoot 11 stages on day 1 so that we only had to shoot 9 on day 2 so that we get out a lot quicker for the award ceremony. Stage number 18, the stage name was One and Move. We shot off this contraption as pictured here with 11 different shooting positions, and I'll go through it here shortly, the 11 different positions. But real quick shout out to Greg Moore. Greg Moore was also the photographer for the Precision Rifle Series finale. So thanks, Greg, for sacrificing your time to get us all those pictures of the match, and thanks for getting this picture for me. But yeah, that's something that I'm gonna make sure that I do in the future, is get a good picture of, or even like a video of the course of fire and the props being used for that actual stage, so that as I go through my game plan and my walkthrough, you guys can kind of see what I'm seeing as I tackle the stage in my head. So I'm going to read the course of fire description from the actual match book itself. Right. So again, this was stage number 18, One and Move. Shooters will start with all equipment in hand, rifle, unloaded, and standing. On the command engage, shooters will move to the barricade and engage one target from 10 positions. At each position, the shooter will have one attempt. The shooter may shoot the positions in any order they choose. Round count is 10 targets. This was a partial lipstick. I don't know if it was a 66% or 50% at 432 yards. And we had 90 seconds to complete this task. So, one thing about this match, all the stages, was we couldn't have a magazine already loaded inside of the rifle. We had to show even a little bit of daylight of that magazine being held by the shooter, and we couldn't insert the magazine inserted in the weapon system until after time. So that was one thing that was kind of new with this match, different from the other matches that I've attended, where you usually can start with a magazine inserted before time. It's actually one of the pre-fire checklists, as you will, a lot of shooters have, like myself. So before I get into my game plan, I want to preface you with the buildup of where I'm at this match mentally, right? So again, like I said, this was the second day. At the end of day one, I was, I believe, in 12th place, and I had 11 other shooters in front of me. I can't remember what the stack up was. I think I was 4 or 5 points behind first place, right? So I felt like I was sitting pretty decent, but I knew that because day two, winds were a lot more calm than day one, and with the target sizes, I mean, with the top level competitors there, you would think that I'd say about 30-40% of the shooters would clean the course of fire on day two, because that's how much wind died down after day one. One was pretty hellacious, but anyways, this was my 8th stage of the day. I had one more stage after this. I had just came off stage 17, and I was the very first shooter for that stage, which meant for this stage 18, I was going to be the last shooter out of my squad. We had 14-man squads. Not only that, the squad in front of us still also had to shoot that course of fire, this course of fire as well. So, in a sense, I had to watch 27 shooters in front of me before I actually had to go. I was 7 stages in. I had been clean up to that point, so I had, shot all 7 stages. I cleaned all 7 stages. I haven't dropped a point yet. And, at this point, I still didn't know where I was in the standings. I figured I'd still be, doing fairly well. And, I was still thinking for every course of fire, at the beginning of every course of fire or before, I was like, hey, I got to clean this stage because, the other top shooters are doing it too. So in order to stay in the fight, I can't drop anything. That's what I was going through in my head. That's kind of like the worst thing that you could possibly do, because you hear from other competitors, you can't control what the other shooter's doing, which is absolutely right. You can just focus on your own game, and that's what I was trying to do. But it was my first time at the PRS finale, and I was just trying to fight my inner demons since I was getting way too much in my head. But I was walking around, and I'm gonna plug Richard Dias here if you're watching it. Thanks, man. But I was walking around, and I told him about my situation, about where I was at, and he was kind of rooting for me. But I was like, man, I just want to get this course of fire over with. Like, I got 2 more stages left. I just want to see if I can finish the day off clean, and that's it. And he's like, dude, get out of your head. And what he said to me was, shoot this stage like it's your very first stage of the match. And that was all it took. It put me back in gear, and it helped me focus on the task at hand, which was, now we'll talk about my game plan. So once I got the stage brief, I went through my normal priorities of work. Right, target acquisition. I found the target, which was just in front of a berm, probably from the actual firing line itself. We were kind of off at an angle compared to where we're usually shooting. But my target reference point was pretty much the berm that I was sitting in front of, and then moving into the actual rifle itself. So I set my dope, since the distance was 432 yards, my dope for that was 1.8 mils. I set my parallax to roughly 400 to 500, and then I made sure my magnification was set in between 10 to 12. Generally, I don't like to go anything higher than 12 at a 2-day match. It's very rare that I go over 14 at a 2-day match, just because it keeps my field of view a lot open, or a lot wider. to help with target acquisition, and it helps me minimize my room for error as I get into positional shooting. So at this point, I hadn't decided what gear that I wanted to bring. I knew I was going to use the game changer, the pint-sized game changer that I had, which is here, and I wasn't sure if I wanted to bring a pillow or how I wanted to do that, because keep in mind I still had a whole squad in front of me and my 13 other squad mates to shoot the course fire. So I, like I said, I had 27 other shooters in front of me to shoot this stage. So I didn't really, kind of, this is what I'm gonna do until maybe like 2 shooters prior. I wasn't sure if I was gonna go with the Sky Pods, or I also had the Harris bipods in my pack as well. Because I wasn't sure if I wanted to leave those on there, the bottom part, and just deploy them forward. So gear was still unknown immediately after the stage brief, as well as bipod height was unknown, or bipod use was unknown even after the stage brief. So, and then wind call, right? I mean, I'm not gonna make a wind call until maybe 2 or 3 shooters in front of me. Because 27 shooters, I mean, that's a long time. So we'll talk about observant shooters. So I got to see a lot of executions of this course fire, and honestly a few good ones, and I'd say a lot more bad ones, and a lot of them with their time getting into their head, right? And this is one of the stages where it's like, all right, do I just take my time and just time out and get what I can, or do I go for the full 10? I'd say about for a majority of the shooters, 90% of them timed out. John Pinch cleaned it. He was in front of me, but people were dropping onesies, twosies, and obviously I was getting worried, right? Because it was like, man, these guys are freaking, top shooters here, and they're dropping, ones and twos. Like, I'll be lucky to get out of here with an 8, After watching 27 shooters, the majority of them that I saw, and a couple were using tripods, but the majority of them saw, use it to one bag. Some of them kind of strapped their bag to their rifle. And if you followed me on Instagram and stuff like that, you can kind of tell my shooting style. I don't like strapping my bag onto my rifle, and there's a reason why for that. Okay, strapping the bag to the rifle wasn't an option. Watching the shooters in front of me, a lot of them I saw, especially right-handed shooters, were making their way from right to left on the bottom, so shooting from the prone. And I kept thinking in my head and kind of rehearsing, I'm like, that doesn't seem right. I feel like it would be more advantageous for a right-handed shooter to move to the right, so start from the left and move to the right, because now, as my firing position, I'm going to demonstrate here in a video that I created, as a right-handed shooter, I can keep my hand on the firing controls and manipulate the weapon system and push away, rather than try to bring the rifle across my body, if that makes sense, right? So for me, I knew that I was going to start on the bottom left and work my way to the right. I saw a couple also shooters, they let gravity help them out, so after they shot the bottom part, what they did was they started high and worked their way low. Toward about 3 shooters before me, I had my 90% of my game plan, which I'll finally go into here, right? So going back to gear used, right, I ended up sticking with using the Sky Pods, and my Really Right Stuff quick lever attachment that I have here. I'm not sure what the actual name of this is called. They sell it on their site, but it's just a QD lever for the Really Right Stuff Arca. And I also have a sawtooth Picatinny rail attachment to that, right? And the reason why I did that was because I knew that I wanted to get rid of the bipods as soon as I was done with the prone, right? Because I needed to move quickly in and out of these ports, right, without these bipods being in disturbance. And if you know these Sky Pods, how these Sky Pods work, at least the Picatinny rail parts, I have to push in to disengage and get out of the Picatinny rail, right? But since it was on this piece, all I had to do was quickly detach it off of the rifle itself once I got done, and that was it. Went with the Sky Pods for the bipods, just for the first 3 positions, and then I went with my trusty tab small rear bag, all right, for the back, okay, because after I shot my 3 prone positions, right, I ditched this. For moving quickly down in the prone, this bag is always going to be my go-to. And then for the positional shooting, again, I stuck with the pint-sized game changer. So that was the gear to be used. Again, work my way left to right. My plan was to, again, work my way from top to bottom and transition over from bottom to top, right? But you're about to find out that definitely didn't go the way I wanted it to. So, and wind call, real quick on wind. Although wind is blowing in the video, the target was pretty generous enough to where you could be 2 to 3, I'd say about 3/10 off. I think it was a target was 6/10 wide. So I had about 3/10 of clearance on the left and right as long as I gave it a good center mass shot. So the target was pretty generous width-wise. So for me, I just was like, all right, I'm just gonna hold straight up. Sorry for the bad video quality. My dad's recording it. I didn't know that he was recording it, and he's also gonna be narrating a little bit too, as you can tell in the video. Okay, so just FYI.
Okay, second from the last stage for the day. Phyllis is almost a last shooter in this one. One more stage of this one. Here he goes. He just dropped the shit. Come on. There we go. Hey, every time he hits that target, they will make that comment. It's a good shot. He's got 90 seconds to shoot all those, probably 10 rounds. Moving now. Looks like I saw some time there. Kind of weird stuff in the bottom, but. Got plenty of time. Woo! Man! That's one for the books there. I got that on video.
Since you guys just watched it full, I didn't want to talk while you guys watch it. I will just pick out the pieces that I think are important to narrate through so that you guys can exactly see, and I can talk about, my mental process or what I was doing at this point in time. So the very first hiccup, again, bag problems, right? My game plan was to initially start from high to low. As soon as I started, I tried to set the pint-sized game changer on top there, but because I was in such a hurry, right, I didn't set it correctly and it ended up just falling over, right? As soon as it did that and I knew it fell over, I was like, oh, that's it. I'm ready. I already timed out. I was like, all right, 9 shots. I'm getting 9 shots in and I'm good. So I moved down, got in my first position, shot that. One thing I forgot to tell is that your muzzle brake has to at least clear that line of the actual barricade itself. So that's why I kept pushing my rifle so far in and so far back. If you notice in the prone, I didn't leave the prone at all because I knew getting up to get back down was going to burn a lot of time. So I think this is what helps with being physically fit, was being able to drag my body over to the right. But notice how it's easier for my mechanics to move over to the right than it was to move to the left. If you notice on position number 2 and position 3, as I get down and I sight into the scope, I lose a target, okay? I was so tunnel vision that I kept losing my target reference point, and I kept starting off way too far right of the target every single time. So then, once I get in my scope, get my sight picture, the target was not even in my field of view, so I had to search for it. And at that point in time, again, I'm in my head, I'm like, I'm burning time. But by the fourth position, when I got to the kneeling, I had adjusted. I was like, okay, I keep over glassing this to the right, so now before I actually build my position, I'm gonna make sure that I'm looking at the berm and looking at the target so that I'm not doing that and wasting time. Honestly, after that, I detached my bipods and I got my game changer. And after that, the rest was history, to be honest with you. I just got into a rhythm. Once I got in my position, accomplished all my implied tasks, good recoil management, good natural point of aim, good follow through, trigger press, go through my breathing, all those, you know, basic fundamentals that were taught, and then pretty much on autopilot there. What I would do differently, I honestly don't think I would do anything differently from that course fire. Maybe, if anything, the only thing that I would do differently is stage my mini game changer and my pine size game changer down on the bottom right, so I didn't have to fall over to the front. But I would execute that thing the same exact way again if I had to. You know, obviously just make sure that I had a good target reference point. But you know, one thing that I want to note from this video, because I could probably see it already, and it was something that was pointed out to me, and I actually hesitant about pointing this video, but safety, guys. Toward the very end of the video, as soon as I get done with the course fire, when I sweep the rifle from underneath there, if you're quick enough, you'll notice that I sweep the cameraman, my dad, right? Not knowing that he had put himself in my 180-degree line. Safety is always number one. I just wanted to point that out. The PRS for 2019 is it changed the rules to 120 degrees. You know, that's something, you know, moving forward to make sure is, you know, good muzzle awareness at all times, regardless if I knew that I was clear. I only, you know, loaded 10 rounds, but still doesn't change the fact that I did technically flag my dad. I just want to let you know that I am aware of it. Like I said, safety is always, you know, always priority. So that's pretty much it for episode 2. It went a little longer than I wanted it to. I want to try to keep these anywhere from 7 to 10 minutes. But I think what was important was understanding the mental game. For those that have been, for those that are pretty serious competitors, you know that this game is pretty, you know, your mental game has to be just as strong as your capability, because, you know, you could be the, you know, best shooter in the world, but, you know, if you let something small get into your head, like a bass stage or whatever the case is, you know, it's just going to eat at you. And hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. You know, don't forget to like and subscribe. Share this video with a friend. And again, if you're not following me already, follow me on my Instagram handle there at Vallejo_0317. But please, guys, get the word out. I think there's some good training value to these videos, especially for a competitive shooter looking to get into this discipline. Or like I said, just that long-range enthusiast that just wants to improve his game back at home or whatever the case is. But again, like, subscribe, share, and last but not least, keep your face on the gun. Thanks, guys. See you next time. The range was Cresson, the triples. God, fuck. Blah, 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 blah. Okay. All right, so